Coming up on today's Alabama Football Report, recruiting updates, a new commit added by Alabama, and some spring practice buzz. If you like the positive vibes so far coming out of spring camp, then like today's video right now. We begin with the news of the latest commitment for the Crimson Tide. Four-star athlete Zymear Smith. He has pledged Alabama after they hosted 70 recruits over the weekend. College football recruiting is funny sometimes. 2025 class, by the way, for Smith, 284 overall. He's the number 9 ranked athlete. Of note, this is the first non-Alabama recruit to pledge to the Crimson Tide. He's the number 7th ranked player from the state of Maryland. We've got my favorite high school stats, because these are just ridiculous sometimes. Two-way player, offense and defense there for Zymear Smith. Over 1,000 total yards of offense. He had 12 touchdowns last season. Only 22 tackles, but he did pick off 3 passes and break up 7 of them as well for Smith. Here's what Tim Watts wrote on the recruiting and Zymear Smith in particular. After talking to several people about this past weekend, we are convinced recruiting is about to get pretty exciting around here. Seems Kalen DeBoer and his staff made some strong impressions and inroads with some of their top targets. Some you will have to wait longer than others to see the dividends pay off, but others not as long. I do know this. The Bama staff saw it as a very, very good week, and this is just in 1 week. We expect a lot more foot traffic when practice resumes. Positive news on this front, or rumors if you want to call it in that category, since, it's almost always positive things you hear there. But this is a new regime in Alabama, and you are starting almost from scratch in terms of getting people to come to your program because Saban's not there anymore. It's different. Now, no surprise here, Bama is kind of lagging behind in the way too early 2025 rankings, although those always change drastically. They are in the top 20 at number 19 overall, and I think they will continue to rise between now and the actual signing day in many months. So prediction time. Where do you think Alabama will finish in the 2025 recruiting rankings? Is it 1, 2, 3, or a little bit lower? It's the pinned comment on today's video, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Worth mentioning, 4-star linebacker Dell Johnson has changed his commitment date to March 20th, so 10 days away as long as you're watching this on Sunday, with Bama checking in the top 6. Here are Johnson's top 6 teams, by the way. Alabama, Florida State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Florida, and Central Florida. One of these things is not like the other. Can you tell me which one it is? Anyway, Johnson, a 4-star recruit in the class of 2025, 28th overall, so he's just outside that 5-star range, and normally we see more and more of the composite rankings adding in that when it's all said and done, if you're 28th, it might be a 5-star anyway. Number 3 ranked linebacker and number 7 player, by the way, out of the state of Georgia. Georgia not on that top 6 list. A lot of Florida schools, Tennessee, and of course Texas A&M. Well, I guess they're going to go out of state for college, which I totally get. Make sure you don't miss anything coming out of spring practice for Alabama. Some news and notes on that here coming up here momentarily. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now. Let's talk Caleb Odom, who we've briefly mentioned here, getting wide receiver cross-training and outright training. Multiple players, coaches have confirmed that the freshman is going to play wide receiver for the Crimson Tide moving forward. Here's what Kendrick Law said on Odom. Caleb is a wide receiver. He is elite. He is the biggest wide receiver that we have height-wise, and he is aggressive. Caleb Odom is one of the biggest wide receivers we have in our room. As an aside, when listed at 6'5", 215 coming out at high school, you should be the biggest one when you used to be a tight end. He has tremendous ball dominance. He sees the ball, he tracks the ball, and he catches the ball. And he's most aggressive at the line. People are going to fear him coming off the line. Here's what Alabama OC Nick Sheridan said on Caleb Odom. We had a chance to watch some bowl prep when we first got here. There were moments of him competing at a high level against really good competition in his time at Alabama. That's really transitioned to the spring. He's got a long way to go, a lot to learn. But he's eager, he's willing, likes to be coached, and cares about football. That is the trifecta, or the quad, whatever it is, of things your coaches are going to ask of you. Eager, willing, care, coach. Exactly. So this is the adjusted, updated wide receiver depth chart for Alabama. Under the radar, I think there'll be a lot of rotation throughout spring, fall, into the regular season too. Jeremy Bernard, Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice, Jalen Hale, maybe Emmanuel Henderson. Then your freshmen, guys like Ryan Williams, Aaron Hampton, Caleb Odom. We've seen how good Kalen DeBoer helped make his wide receivers in Washington. Why can't he do the exact same thing at Alabama? I have high expectations for that receiver room. Not necessarily like week one, but as the year goes on, I think this could be a really, really good unit. Alabama football jerseys are on sale, folks. 30% off still. How much longer that will last? It is getting to the point where they stop doing some of their sales. So get advantage of the deal while you can. Take advantage of it. Chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. Custom jerseys, alumni jerseys as well. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. We go back now to the pending center competition for the Crimson Tide. Does appear to be there is a battle brewing between James Brockermeyer and Parker Brailsford, with Brockermeyer getting a lot of these center one reps, which maybe is just because the staff wants to know what they have in him. Maybe they want to keep him involved in a competition. Maybe one of them could play guard. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, though, because that means a staff that knows what they have in Brailsford goes, actually, we should give Brockermeyer some run. I still think in the end, come week one, first snap, it's Brailsford at center. But the starting spot won't be handed to him necessarily, despite how good he was last year in Washington. And maybe they're trying to see if one or both of those guys can play guard, and they could kick one of their guards out to tackle. I think what this team is trying to do right now is figure out who your best five is. One of them is going to be Tyler Booker. I think one of them is going to be Jaden Roberts. I think one of them is going to be Parker Brailsford. One should be Elijah Pritchett. And then that fifth spot could be Brockermeyer, Formby, McVay. And maybe if Brockermeyer says, you know what, I can play center, but I can't play guard that great, maybe you try Brailsford over at guard. And you put Booker or even Roberts out at tackle. And you go, instead of like having an A center and, like a C right tackle or whatever, you can go, hey, let's get our B center in there, take our A guard, make him a B tackle, and put in an A guard again in Brailsford. Best five, I think, does matter in college football along the offensive line. Here's what Chris Kapelovich said about the center battle that's ongoing right now. Great competition. We're rotating guys. Nothing's better for your team than competition. When you've got another guy behind you that's pushing you and can win that job, that raises the level of play for both of these guys. Brock's an extremely intelligent kid. It's amazing how he's picked up this offense so quickly. Having Parker here, who's been through the offense, also helps. But it's been good to see those two guys compete. Now, I would say it's probably not settled by A-Day. We should get a good feel for it, though, how they manage the offensive line across the board. I do still think in the end, Brailsford has the leg up. He was really good at Washington, and you'd expect really good play here at Alabama. I would wager a good amount of money he's starting, if not at center, at one of those guard spots, but only see it as a positive if Brockermeyer kind of forces his way into playing time. So pick a center before we go. JB for James Brockermeyer or PB for Parker Brailsford.